Well, time for a quick little update. Uh, we've been working on the tuning, and last week finally felt like it was good enough to kind of leave. So went on a drive around the block, and then finally felt good enough. So ended up taking it up the road, got on the interstate, got up to interstate speeds, and went up the interstate and then to about 10 miles up the road to basically the next like major exit, and then got off and came two-lane Highway 16, the two-lane road back. A couple of hills out there, so kind of got a little bit of a load on it, plus some highway driving and stuff. Did that several days last week, working on the tune every day. Going back and forth with the guy that's helping me, sending logs, and we're kind of making some adjustments on it. And so did that, and just working on some things, working on the fuel, getting the fueling right, and also having a little bit of an issue we're working on where you come up to, get off the interstate, or you come up to a stop sign or stop light or something like that, press the clutch in, and when it drops, it's not catching itself very well, and like almost dying, and then kind of like the idle kind of bounces 3 or 4 times or whatever, super low, and then it cranks itself way up and then down, and then it kind of settles down, or it almost dies, and I kind of hit the throttle a little bit to kind of keep it from dying. So just some stuff like that. I said some drivability type stuff, so it was working on that last week or whatever, and then and it was running, kind of kept up in the RPMs, a little bit, 3.5, 4. I got brave enough to go to 5,000 once last week, and engine was holding together. That's good. Nothing coming out the rod's not coming out the side of the block or anything. So, and the time I went to 5,000 was crazy. From about 4,500 to 5,000, all of a sudden, man, it just shoved me way back in the seat. It was pulling pretty good, even up to that point. But then all of a sudden, it just really kicked in, at 4,500, and that last 500, man, it just really pulled hard. So that was kind of cool. But just working on some stuff, and then felt comfortable enough with it, or at least, that they had, put those miles on it and didn't have any problems, and whatnot. So this weekend, on Saturday, there was a show going on down the Dells, the all-in car show. So I decided, since I had kind of wanted to take this to Missouri this upcoming week for Shelby Fest, I'm like, well, I need to know that I can trust it, with some miles and stuff on it. So that was the farthest it's been away from home, and the most miles put on it. So that was about an hour and a half drive down to the Dells. So did that, kind of was logging, stopped along the way a couple times, had to get gas and stuff, and then, check the log, make some fuel adjustments, blah, 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 all the way. And then after that, I stopped and stopped in Toma. And then from Toma on, I just basically didn't log anything, and just kind of drove, basically. And it does pretty good. You got to be, at about 80 miles an hour before you can put it in 6th gear. Otherwise, the RPMs are way too low. And even doing that with 373s in it, you got to, it cruises, 1,700, 1,750 at 80 miles an hour in 6th gear. So cruising really low. If I didn't have the 373s in it and I had the factory 331s, man, you'd probably have to be doing, I don't know, maybe 90 before you could put it in really in 6th gear, maybe. But so it does pretty good. Still working on the fueling and stuff like that. Not that it really matters with fuel, but I think at one point I peaked at about 17 miles to the gallon. But like I said, still working on things. So, but got it down there. It was really cold. We were only down there for, I don't know, maybe 3 hours or so. I kind of got lost on the way, but we made it. GPS took us to the wrong place, but so we got down there for a little while. It was kind of cold, and then came home. Hit some rain on the drive home, but it handled okay. I was a little concerned about the tires because they're super soft, 180 tread wear, that they'd get cold and it starts skating or causing some issues. But it seemed okay. I stopped in Toma to get some gas, and the tires, even with the rain and stuff, and it was cold out. It was only in the mid 40s. The tires felt warm, so that was kind of cool. Seemed like it was okay. But the only thing that was kind of weird, and I happened to notice this a couple times too last week when I was driving, that when I would turn to the right, I would hear this like weird noise. Almost like something was like straining. At first I thought maybe something was hitting on the wheels, but I don't think so. And then when we were down in the Dells, it was cold and it sat outside. It's the coldest we've been outside. And then when I started it and went to take off, it was kind of making this. It almost sounded to me like if this thing had a power steering pump on it, like the power steering pump was going bad. And like I said, it seemed when I was moving the steering wheel, it was kind of doing it. But this doesn't have a power steering pump. The GT14 or GT5 GT500, had electronic power steering. So I don't know if maybe the motor is starting to have a problem or whatnot. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that and see. But I'm feeling confident enough that I'm gonna try. We're gonna take it to Shelby Fest this week. We leave, and we're gonna see. I got track rental down there for that. So. To learn, not really running the track so much, but they're offering a course on like running the track as far as like showing you how to drive and how the apexes and the corners and all that kind of stuff. So it's, I guess a class would be the best way to say it, a class on running the track down there. So I'm going to try that. Probably not push it too hard, but maybe see what things can do, maybe get some more logs and stuff like that. But like I said, that's kind of a weird noise, so I have to keep an eye on that. I didn't lose power steering at any point. I did find out how to change the steering preference, so I put the steering in sport mode. So I did figure out how to do that. Otherwise, so far so good. She's holding together. Like I said, haven't felt confident to put it above $5,000 yet, but just take some time and confidence in it, and then probably do that. One thing that I did find that I'm going to have to talk to the guy that did the custom fender flares is, if you look here, there's not a lot of clearance with the wheels, with the tires there to the fender. I can't even really put my finger in there, but if you come over to this side, and I try to do that same thing, I can almost put 2 fingers in, not quite, but almost 2 fingers. And you can kind of see too, if I kind of hold it down here level, there's a gap in there, but yet over here, there is not. And at first I thought it was a bad shock or something like that, but I basically did some measuring and stuff. Here you can kind of see, there's really basically 1 finger right there, and you can see some marks. It's basically when you hit a good bump, it's coming down, and because it doesn't quite clear the tire there, if you can kind of see, and so she's just hitting right up here when it comes down. It's actually too bad. I wish it would have actually come out a little bit more, so it would have cleared the tire if it came up underneath here. But so that's a little bit of an issue. And what I did is when I measured from the ground up on both sides, it's just under ½ inch difference. This is a ½ inch longer than that side over there. So I wasn't sure if it was a shock or something bent underneath, but then out of curiosity's sake, I measured basically from here down to the top of the fender flare, and it's 8 inches on both sides, but then the distance from here, pull back, from here down is longer. So I think that one of 2 things, either this is actually extended out, I probably should measure this, but this distance is either longer or he's coming down further here. Actually, I should measure that just out of curiosity to check. But so it's a little bit longer, so I texted the guy that did it and told him about that, and he said, well, that's interesting. And so I told him how I figured it out and measured it and stuff like that, so he kind of knew my method and why I think that. But at this point, I'm going to hopefully not hit too many bumpy roads and hopefully not destroy the tire this summer, and we'll deal with it this fall, because it took him months to do that, and I don't want to be down. You know, it's already been 5 years. I don't want to be down any longer to work on it. But hopefully I can make it through to this fall, and then we'll deal with it this fall. But I said it was going to be a short update, and I've rambled long enough, so that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully things will go well at Shelby Fest and it doesn't come apart, and we will, I guess, let you know what happens from there. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.